Yes, it's true. Chinese is a very difficult language. Getting the hang of tones, characters, and how you speak with the whole thing, it can be really strenuous. But with this course, what we'll be doing is we'll be getting straight to the point, picking up high frequent terms and merging them with other characters and words. What we'll be focusing on is the colloquial Chinese, so that you get speaking in all time. We call it the accelerated Chinese course. We'll include some of the terms from the Bible so that you get the hang of everything that you need to know to speak Chinese with everyone. Now, let's get started with the one character that you hear a lot and you use a lot, and that's you. So in Chinese, the character for you is ni. Okay, so ni, just like that, means you. So don't worry about the character, don't worry about the tones. Just make sure you sound close with what I'm saying, and as time goes on, you get the hang of the character. The more you see it, the more you get hang of it. Ni, that's you. And then the character for good, hao. Again, hao. So we now know the character for you, that's ni, and the character for good, that's hao. Sometimes you see both characters being combined together. And this is probably one of the most frequent and most popular Chinese phrases you would ever hear. Ni hao, ni hao. So together, this is a form of a Chinese greeting which is equivalent to the English hello. Ni hao, hello. So when somebody says ni hao, what they're basically doing is that they are wishing you a good health. You good. Ni hao. So when somebody says ni hao, you can also say ni hao. Hello. Hello. Something like that. Of course, in some instances, you hear people say ni hao ma. The ma at the end is the question particle. So in Chinese, ma is the question particle for a yes or no question. Ni hao is a casual way of greeting. However, for a formal hello, you hear the word nin hao, nin hao. So instead of ni, there's another n in front, so that makes it nin hao. So this is the formal hello, or when somebody younger is greeting somebody who's older, nin hao will be the correct greeting. However, because people are moving away from the formal way of greeting these days, ni seems to be winning all the way. So you hear ni hao in most instances, but formally, ni hao should be used. Enough about you. Let's talk about me. Wo. So that's I, or me. Wo. So you see, we've been going up, rather down and up in most of these phrases. That's exactly how they are. Wo, wo, down and up. Another word that also goes down and up is hen, hen, and that's the word for very, very. Now let's try and combine these with other words that we've learned just a moment ago. The word for I, wo, the word for very, hen, and the word for good, hao, wo, hen, hao. So we're changing the beat in the middle, but we're keeping it down and low on the first and the last one. Wo, hen, hao. You see what we did there? The middle one is a little bit lighter. So what does that mean? Literally it means I very good, which is the response to ni hao ma or ni hao, and you can also respond wo hen hao, I am fine, I am very good. So in Chinese, instead of saying wo hao, ni hao, you good, wo hao, I good, that's not the correct way of response. Instead, wo hen hao is the mostly acceptable response. We'll get much into detail about that later, but for now let's stick with that. Now, let's come back to you. But this time around you're not just by yourself. It's you and others. So you in plural. The plural marker in Chinese is men. Men is a neutral tone, so there's no tone marker on top of it. So the word for you again is ni, and then together with the plural marker ni men. So if it's you and others, ni men. Men almost kind of sort of remind us of the English word for plural, or when things are more than one, we say they are many. So the plural marker in Chinese, men, almost sounds like many. So you, ni, and you when you are many, ni men. Kind of works, doesn't it? Super duper clue. Let's do the same with I. Now when I am with others, that means we. I'm referring to we or us. And again, the word for I in singular is 我. And when it is I and other people, again, I and many other people, I, men, 我 men. So 我们 is the Chinese for us or we. Okay, that's easy. So we, 我们, I, 我, you, 你, you and others, 你们. Good. So now let's move into him and her. The character is different, but the pronunciation is identical. Ta, ta. So ta is a character for him, her, he, she, and her. Ta. And now when they're many or them, again we add the plural marker men, because there are many, of course. So ta men, that's for they or them. The character for it is also different, but again it's identical, the pronunciation wise. Ta. Wonderful. And again, when you're talking of many objects, ta men. So you see, the man is coming over and over and over again. As long as we have more than one item, we put the plural marker men, and that signifies we have many items. So ta men for them when talking about objects. Now this is a very high frequent phrase. It's actually a possessive marker. Da. So da is a possessive marker. What we mean by that is, if I have a pen, I say it is mine. So mine, that's a possessive term. In Chinese we use da. So again, the word for I is 我, and the possessive marker will be da. So if I want to say mine or my dash dash dash, my father, my pen, my car, I would go with 我的 我的 pen, 我的 car, 我的 wife, 我的 phone, and so forth. If you want to use the possessive marker, possessive character as well for somebody else's stuff, you can say 你, that's the character for you, and your car, 你的 car, 你的 house, 你的 pen. You see? You can also do the same for many people. 我们的 house, 我们 that's our, 我们的 that's our car, 我们的 house, 我们的 food. And you do the same again for you in plural. 你们的 that's your in plural. Your house, your address, your kids. 你们的 kids. Wonderful. Now, let's see if you can pick a few things from the Kingdom Hall that we can use the possessive particle the. For example, the Bible. 圣经 that's the Bible, the scriptures. So if you want to refer to it as my Bible, 我的圣经, you can do the same with the Watchtower magazine. 我的守望台 You're awake. The word for awake is 进行 So your awake will be 你的进行. There are also measure words in Chinese. Measure words are more like what we do in English as well. If you have a bread, you don't say I have one bread, you probably go with I have a loaf of bread. So that part where you say loaf is almost equivalent to measure words. So instead of saying one book, you would go with the measure word one, then book. So one, then book. Then is the measure word or the word that is used before books, just like you do with bread. The word that you use before bread is loaf or loaves. So here, when referring to books, we go with the measure word then. So let's put it in practice. The character for book is shu, and the character for magazine is ta zi. So shu is very easy, straightforward. Ta zi. Here, the last part there, zi, is almost like judge, the English word judge. The last part where you say ja zi, the zi part, now a little bit aspirated and a little bit high pitched in the short way. Zi, ta zi. So here we'll use again the measure word for books, then. So 我的 then 是. Okay. So we now know how to work with most popular magazines, because the Watchtower is the most popular magazine in the world, and the Awake is the second most popular magazine in the world, and of course the Bible is the most popular book in the whole world. So now we know that then, su, and ta, zi. This, zhe, that, na. This, zhe. Again, this is from the word judge, like we told you earlier, but now we're using the vowel e at the end, so instead of zhi, we are saying zhe. Zhe for this. While we're still here, I'm also going to share with you the most popular measure word in Chinese. It's ge. So if you want to point to something, you can say zhe ge. Instead of just saying this dog or this house, you would use ge between this and the noun you will be pointing at. For example, 这个 house, 这个 dog, 这个 person. So ge is the most universal measure word. You can even use it for books as well if you like, even though it won't be the most accurate measure word, but it's the most universal, so you can just fit in almost everywhere. You can say 这个 书, and it will still make sense. And you can also use 那个书 to point at that over there, that person, 那个 person, 那个 house, that house, 那个 road, that road, 这个 road, this road. So you see 这 and 那 are pointing words, and no wonder they're very high frequent, because usually when you're learning Chinese, some of the things you don't really know how to pronounce them in Chinese, right? So you will hear that most translators, especially junior translators, are given a funny name. It's not of a discriminatory way, but it's easier for them to classify themselves on the ladder of efficiency. So if you hear a person saying that we're looking for a translator and a jugger will do, what they mean is that somebody who is of low proficiency, who doesn't know how to pronounce much of the nouns, and most of the time when they're translating, they will be pointing at the stuff and saying, he said jugger is what. He said naga is what. But what they're doing is that they're pointing at the stuff and then going jugger, which means this here. Instead of saying this fridge, but because they don't know how to pronounce fridge in Chinese, then they'll go with jugger. Then they point at the fridge. This car, or that car, or that wheel, or that oil, because they don't know the word oil, they'll just point naga. Sama. You see, so jagger and naga are very popular. But j on its own is this rather, and na on its own is also that. Let's move into another high frequent terms, which is yo. Again, you see we're going down and up. Yo. Very nice to have. Okay, so yo, to have. And the opposite of that is may. May is a negative tail. So if you say may, if you put it as a suffix, or rather a prefix rather, that will negate the statement. So if I say wo, I, yo, have. 圣经 Bible. I have a Bible. 我有圣经. Just using what we have here, I know we could improve that statement to be more accurate grammatically, but working with what we know so far, if I want to say I have a book, I would say 我有本书. Okay, well, of course we could get the number, but let's keep it for now. 我有本书. Right, that means I have a book. And if I want to negate that statement, instead of saying yo, which means I have, I can go with 我没有. I don't have. 我没有. Okay, so let's ask a person, do you have? 你有. And you remember what we said is the question particle? 吗? 你有吗? And the person says, I have. 我有. Or let's ask them, do you have money? 你有 money 吗? Don't forget the ma at the end, right? 你有 money 吗? So you see, you now start to speak Chinese. If you meet up with a person and if you want to ask if they have something, it's as simple as that. 你有这个吗? 你有那个吗? If they have, they go 我有. If they don't have, they say 我没有. Let's use the same for him. 他有 money 吗? 他没有. Let's go again. Does that person have a watchtower? 他有守望台吗? Yes, he has. 他有. Okay, let's ask, does she have a boyfriend? 他有 boyfriend 吗? She doesn't have. 他没有. Okay, so you see, we now already have an idea of how we can construct our sentences. Let's move into days. Let's start with tomorrow. 明天 that's tomorrow. 天 is the word for day. So you see 天 in every way that has to do with days and more. 天 also means heaven sometimes, so you see that in other things that has to do with heaven. But for now we're just working with days, so you see 天 every point of the way. Let's start with tomorrow, 明天, and come to the day, 今天, and then yesterday, 昨天. You see, 今天 sounds like a little bit musical, same level, 今天. But tomorrow and 昨天 are also on the same level, because if you look at their tone markers, they are also identical. 明天 and 昨天. So that's yesterday and tomorrow. Okay. Now if you want to include that to where we were earlier, 今天你好. Today, are you good? 今天你好. 今天我很好. Maybe they were sick yesterday. So 今天你好吗? 今天我很好. Nice. 昨天他有吗? Did he or her or she rather have it? Did she have it? Yes, did. Okay, that's the English terms to should be. Did she have his or have it yesterday? Okay. 他有吗? If they didn't have it yesterday, then 他没有. Or if you're plural, 他们没有. Wonderful. Let's look at a few nouns or rather names of people. For example, Jesus, 耶稣, 耶稣. Very simple, straightforward. And Christ, 基督, 基督. Again, same level tones. 基督, 耶稣基督, Jesus Christ. And Jehovah, 耶和华, 耶和华. That's Jehovah. God, 上帝, 上帝. Okay? And we have angels, 天使. You remember 天 from above there? 天 is the same character as you can see. And then 使, again we're going down and up. Today we've been going down and up a lot. So this is 天使. That's the word for angel or angels, right? And our enemy, Satan. Or Satan, if you like. Most people will say Satan, but in other languages or other accents, Satan is more on the colloquial side for them. But in Chinese, it's Satan. Satan. So yeah, sounds like Satan for sure, or Satan if you like. But either way, he's an enemy. He's an enemy. Satan. Okay. Now let's move on to something that we need so much when we're introducing ourselves. Address, name, phone number. The word for address is 地址. Again, 地址. The last part there, down and up. 地址. Wonderful. Address. And name, 名字. 名字. Nice. And phone, the word for phone is 电话. 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 That's a phone. And the word for phone number, rather just number, is 号码. 号码. That's just for the number, okay? So number is just 号码. And then if you combine the two together, 电话, 号码, that's your phone number. Okay, so now let's review again, imagining what we have done earlier. Your address. How do we say your address? 你的地址. Okay. Their address. 他们的地址. Good. How do we say God's name? 上帝的名字. The word for name, 名字. The word for God, 上帝. And the possessive particle, 的. God's name, 上帝的名字. Wonderful. Your name, 你的名字. 你的名字. My name, 我的名字. Right. What about your phone number? 你的号码. That's your number. 你的号码. And if you want to go the long way, 你的电话号码. 你的电话号码. Do you have a phone? 你有电话？你有电话吗？ Okay. Again, do you have a Bible? 你有圣经吗？ So you see, we're starting to create several characters and phrases from what we have learned today. Now the big word for today is 是. Now this is one of the most popular words, and you'll see it a lot because it means a lot of things too. 是 can mean to be, or is, or was, or were, or are, or am. If I want to say I am and put my name there, let's say it's Jesus who's speaking, and he says I am Christ. How do you think he would say that? Jesus is speaking and he says I am Christ. How would he say that? He would say 我, that's I, and then the word for am is 是, and the word for Christ is 基督，我是基督。 Okay. And how would you say Jehovah is God? 耶和华是上帝，耶和华是上帝。 Nice. What would you say if you want to say my number is? Again, my 我的 number 号码 is 是 022555444 我的号码是 Okay. So you can even ask somebody's number with what we've learned today just by changing a little bit on your tone. For example, if you say your phone number, and the person start giving you their phone number, right? So you can do the same today. You can say 你的电话号码我的电话号码是 022555666. You see? It works. So already you can now ask somebody their phone number, you can ask their name, you can ask their address, and you can also tell them or ask them if they have a magazine, if they don't have, if it's here, if it's there, if it's today, if it's tomorrow, or if it's yesterday. All of that we've done today. We'll continue to hammer on these ones, and what we have done is we've also created a few forums, a few spaces on other platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram, where you can also join in the conversation, do a couple of exercises so that everything works and is solved into your brain so that you quickly remember. So it was really fun and entertaining lesson that we have today. It was an opening one, so we had a lot of things to adjust, but of course as we go along a lot of things will also start falling into place. But we're glad that you joined and listened all the way to the end of the lesson, and we hope that you will come back and listen to the next one that will post very soon. And remember to share the video if you have to, or like or subscribe if you want to. And also, you know, these are not a must, but if you intend to, because that will help you to get notified whenever I post another video, and that also help the community grow, because that's how the world works these days. It's just watch how many people are watching, how many people have subscribed, and all that. Yeah, it usually didn't matter, and it doesn't really matter, but just for the sake of progress, we would advise you, if you can, and ask you politely to do so if you want. The emphasis is on if you want, and we'll see you again in the next video. Remember, to do the exercises, you have to check the links on the description and or the bio, if it's what you want to call it, and then you can come and join the community, start doing the exercises, practice with more brothers and sisters, and see how it works. Okay, so one last time, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day, and remember to come back for more. Oh, before I go, If you want to contribute to this, either by giving us some advice or any other way you want to contribute to the work, some materials or anything that you think might help to keep the process going, we're also happy to hear that. So that they'll accept any kind of help that you're willing to give us, constructive criticism and everything in between. Yeah.